What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of NJ Healthy Heat, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Matthew Della Rosa, and today I am joined with Andre Butler. This is a unique guest. You guys know me as somebody who does infield and pitching. Obviously, haven't been a two-way player, haven't played the infield, and got drafted to play professional baseball as a pitcher. I can speak that. However, Andre's specialty is in the outfield, and I'm super excited to talk to him about that and get the ins and outs of what he's doing. He's been a collegiate player himself. He's been a college coach at a couple of different places, Penn State being one of them, and now he works with Team USA, or currently works with Team USA. He also runs his own business, graveyard training, and our graveyard mentality, in which he travels around the country working with some of the best outfield players in the country. So super excited if you're a parent or a player who is interested in outfield work. And also, we're going to talk about some recruiting, some of the things that he did, while he was a coach. This is going to be a great episode for you guys. So tune in, get your paper ready, and let's go. So, Andre, my man, hey, we are just meeting, right? Like,
Yeah,
we just met 5 minutes ago. So our
yeah,
introduction is just like the people are here. So give it to me, man. Like, what's the story? How did you get here today? Where are you coming from?
yeah. Appreciate you having me, Matt. And pretty much my story is was an outfielder, and realized that no one paid too much attention to what we did from a developmental side. It was, hit fungos to outfielders at a far distance, and that was kind of it. I grew up in Philadelphia, so I know what it's like to be in the Northeast in the wintertime and not having high ceilings or the ability to get outside. And I get it, like, but we still can get work in. And just like you mentioned with infielders, we can get the same amount of work in as an outfielder with the right drills, with the right mechanics. You just have to be creative. And that's what I've just tried to figure out over the past 13 now, I guess going on 14 years. I've moved everything towards Georgia in the Atlanta area. Technically, we train about 10 minutes from Lake Point. So we're able to get a lot of players who come in to train with us, and
That's nice.
it's been a great journey, and I feel like we're just getting going. I'm excited to see where we go.
Nice, man. So a lot of people who come down to the PBR,
That's
perfect game
PBR. Yep.
stuff. Yeah, PBR. They're just coming and visiting you in the time that they have off from their games.
Yeah, pretty much. So a
Man,
lot of
that's
those
awesome.
events, they play one game a day, and then the rest of the day you either go fish, you go explore the area, you go to all the different shops. And so with being 10 minutes away from Lake Point and then about 25 minutes away from East Cobb, we're kind of in a perfect location where, kids can come in and get training in, outfield training while they're here in town throughout the summer and the
Now,
fall.
now you got your own facility down there, or what?
So no, we're blessed because we're outfielders. So outfielders, we want the high sky.
Yeah.
So we'll train at various fields in the area. We also, especially in the off season, we train some of the top outfielders in the country at a local beach.
Oh,
Yeah, Atlanta does have beaches.
didn't
Well,
know.
Metro Atlanta. It's more of a hidden gem. I can't tell you where it is, or everybody's gonna be there.
Let's
Um,
go.
but it just created some ability to have some kind of unique training, work on footwork, work on the resistance with with the sand. I have a big emphasis on move your feet, and move your feet as fast as you can. Keep your head still. And what better way to implement that challenge than adding some sand, make players run, do some short work and go about that way. So that was last year was the first year we did that. So that would kind of be our thing every, October, November, December, and then we send them off back to their programs.
Nice, man. And so, how did you get into just in or outfield only and no hitting? Like, do you do hitting as well, or is it just
We do,
straight?
yeah, we do one hitting camp. That one hitting camp is at the USA Baseball Complex in Cary, North Carolina. We do
Okay.
that in December. It's usually around the third week of December, depending on where Christmas falls. But I wanted to say, I want to do something that nobody else does. I wanted to do something that no everybody just kind of flock towards. Well, there's no outfield. The outfielders don't matter almost, right? You got to hit pretty much. Hey, outfielders, when the infielders are doing their, positional stuff, if we're doing defensive situations for infielders and pitchers, outfielders go run bases, or outfielders go hit, or outfielders go get extra time bunting. But then, like, I just put something up on, we had 3 plays over the weekend, and there's probably much more. I just didn't catch them. that were like game-changing plays. You had the kid for Cincinnati. He made an unbelievable catch. He
The
brought a
one in
ball
left
back.
field?
The one he was in right field.
Okay,
So
I think I saw one on your
he
Instagram.
probably
Dude was
that
in
was
left field,
Georgia.
full
So then
lamp.
that was so same thing. So we had that one. We had one at Georgia. He won the game, right? He won a game for him. And then we saw Julio Rodriguez in the World Baseball Classic make a great play, like three
Funny story
robbing
about
home
Julio
runs.
Rodriguez. He took me 450 feet in single A ball at the
Yeah,
age of like 18 years old. Dude's unreal. But no, that's
yeah,
awesome. Hell yeah.
yeah. And now everybody says like those plays are great, but most guys can't make that play, right? Most guys can't. And especially looking at like the high school player, guys trying to get to college, they're trying to find an edge. And like, yeah, there's certain measurables and metrics that you have to kind of fit the model for. But if you're going against, if there's two guys, y'all both got the same metrics, but this guy's a dog and he can go put on for his team and have ice in his veins and catch a ball and bring it back in at the track, he's going to get the offer, and that's just my expertise from when I was recruiting, and a lot of these players just don't understand that yet. So I try to, give them that information.
Yeah, man. So kind of getting into your recruiting background and your college coaching. Let's kind of start there. What was your journey? How did that look like, and how was that for you?
Yeah, so I went to Eastern University in King of Prussia area, right outside of Philly, to play my college ball, and then following that, I had an opportunity to start coaching.
You get a lot of looks at a high school yourself, or no? Not really.
Not many
Yeah.
to be honest. I think that kind of drives my passion for still continuing to get better as a coach. Is I'm always trying to make up for lost time, even 15, 14 years later.
Yeah.
Um, but went to Eastern, started coaching. I was finishing my undergrad. I was coaching at Swarthmore College. So I was 22, coaching 21, 22-year-olds.
Love it.
Um, 3 months there. We didn't even play a game. I got a job at University of Penn in the Ivy League. So I was like, all right, this is how coaching goes, right? Like you kind of fast track,
Move
right?
quick.
Um, so I was there for 2 years. And then I said I wanted recruiting experience. My position there was a volunteer assistant back when they had that position. I said I wanted recruiting experience, so I was fortunate to get a job at DeSales University under Tim Nyman, who's now retired. But it was great. That's people always ask me, like, what was my favorite job? And I think they all have great things about them, but I feel like DeSales was the one that really got me to where I need to go. I was only there for one season, 11 months to be specific. They gave me everything I needed to be great. I had like the recruiting car was available for all the athletic programs. I feel like I used it the most. Right, like it was a white Impala, and I had that thing, and people probably
Hey.
thought that it was mine. I'm like, nah, it's I just always am on the road. So that led me to get to Penn State. So I was at Penn State for 4 years, 2 years as a volunteer, and then I got promoted for the next 2 years. And then after that, I was like, man, not that I felt like I'd done everything, but I was like, I've chased this whole journey. Well, what's next? And obviously, I'm a third base coach. I'm 26 years old at the time. I'm third base coach, um, outfield coach, working with the hitters, recruiting. Like I'm kind of doing it all.
Yeah.
And I took a step back and said, I have a choice. Am I going to either keep going in this route, try to become a head coach or whatever the case may be, or is there something else for me? And at that time, graveyard mentality had started at Penn State. Like I spoke at the ABCA coaches clinic. People loved it. I said, all right, cool. So I took a leap of faith. I stepped away from the college coaching side of things, and then started doing graveyard mentality full time. And here we are, about 7 years later.
Let's go. So you're at Penn State, and what? You're thinking like, hey, I can just start my own business, or I can just make a
So
whole business teaching outfield,
So
right? Like,
it really was like, well, it was part of it was family ties and tied in with it too. My wife and I, we hadn't really ever like lived together full time.
okay,
So she was moving back towards the Philly area. Penn State's 3 hours away, as y'all know. Um, she was moving back towards Philly, and I'm like, well, this ain't gonna work for long, right?
yeah,
We just got married. I'm like, so let's move back towards Philly. She was going to school there. We set up shop. I said, I'll find a job. I'll do whatever. And I was like, light bulb. I'll just start training players.
yeah,
And I was doing hitting, I was doing everything. And then I found like this niche where people were like, hey, we want to do outfield training and let's just get graveyard off. So we started the social media and all that. And then what really turned, I mean, it was always a business when I was in Pennsylvania, but I started to say, I can't do it the way I want to do it here because we're like, I'm not going to get a kid from Georgia to come see me in PA. Like I knew for outfield training, I knew I wasn't getting that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Outfield training is already hard enough to promote, let alone no offense to Pennsylvania, but
Promoted time.
in a cold area. So I said, all right, let's move. So 3.5 years ago, we moved here to Atlanta Metro, and now we feel like I can drive to Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina. Now I'm more in a hub, and then obviously those players coming in to see me as well.
Hey, shout out to your wife for doing that, man. That's a big leap.
Yeah,
Just be like, hey, I'm gonna start a business in a very small niche, and
yeah,
we need to move to Atlanta. And
yeah,
oh, by the way, it's not really successful yet, but trust me, people are gonna like what I got to offer. So that's dope, man. I
yeah.
really
She trusts
respect
me.
that, and yeah, shout
Yeah.
out to your wife, dude.
Three kids later, she still trusts me.
3 kids too, dang.
Yeah,
Let's go,
yeah.
you family man. Love it, dude. Love it. So what was it like on the recruiting end of things? How did that go for you? So let's talk about recruiting outfielders. You
Yeah.
know, what like I'm sure you're using a ton of what you use to recruit kids to now help those high school kids kind of, hey, this is what coaches are looking for. You've sat in enough camps, you've sat in enough um uh prospect showcases, things like that. So what is it that colleges are pinpointing or kind of eyeballing when they're grading out a high school prospect right now?
Yeah, I think the thing that a lot of players don't realize is yes, and obviously I'm here like I love outfield training. Like you won't find anybody else that doesn't love it. But I also am like I keep it real where you want to stay in the infield as long as you can. you know. So they do want guys that play up the middle. They do
Yeah.
want an athletic catcher is a real thing in our game now,
Mhm.
right? Where you see where Georgia Tech's catcher, like he can play 8 positions as he did. Um, he can play the outfield at the next level. I've told him that. So it's still recruiting up the middle. It's still being able to play as many positions as you can because when you get on campus, that part hasn't changed. When you get on campus, the best guys that hit are not going to sit. And if they do sit, that means you got a legit offensive team, which you're seeing in college baseball. But athleticism, the arm, if you talk outfield specifically with me, like from a recruiting standpoint, I want to find a guy that can hit. If you can hit and you can run and you've got a baseball IQ, I'll sacrifice a little bit if your arm's not great as an outfielder, right? Shortstop, yeah, you got to be able to throw the ball. You got to be, you gotta, go
Hey,
ahead.
real quick, you're about to drop some knowledge, and I really want to get this.
Yeah,
Your face is like half in, half out. Can you just turn the phone just a little bit so that you're like centered the other way, the other way, the other way? Or you got to slide in the middle of the camera, I think to
how
your
about
left,
that? I got to
the
go
other way,
this way.
right there. Yeah. All right.
Is that
Perfect.
good?
Yes, sir.
All
Because when
right,
I put this on the internet, I need
I bet
people
you.
to see your face,
Yeah,
bro. All right. Start it over.
yeah,
Start it over. So when you're recruiting outfielders from the top, let
yeah.
me see
So
it.
when I'm recruiting outfielders, like I'm thinking about athleticism. You know what I mean? I need a guy that can, if you can hit, you got to be able to hit. If you can't hit, I'm sorry. Like even if you're a guy that can't hit for power, that's fine. But you better be able to bunt, you better get on base, you better do something when you're on the bases. But you got to be able to run. Now we're seeing runners at 6'4", 6'5". I don't even know if I'm trusting all these times, but like before it used to be like, hey, if you were at a 7, you were in the ballpark, right? And now these guys are like 6'5". So you got to be able to run. You got to be able to hit. You got to be able to have a high baseball IQ. You have to be able to know where to throw the ball before the ball is even hit. And then the thing that I'm going to sacrifice, the last piece is the arm. Yes, I want a guy that can go and throw a guy out at any point in the game. But if you don't have a great arm, we can still make do with you. We can still find a place for you because if you look in the MLB as far as like who's leading for outfield assists, like that top guy, most high school guys don't know how many guys outfielders are throwing out in Major League Baseball in a year. And usually that high number, that leaderboard number is around like 16. Like 16 guys you're throwing out. I think Nolan Jones had it when he was with the Rockies. He had like 19 a couple years ago, and he played like 140 games, and that was the leader. So to me, if you don't have a great arm, especially you talk about in college, we can always have that defensive position, defensive outfielder with a better arm that can come in and get the job done, maybe in the bottom of the ninth, run on second base type thing like that. So there's a spot for everybody in the outfield, no doubt about it.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't have known, I guess, how to rank. I know that when you're going to play the outfield, especially in the corners, like you got to be able to bang it, right? Just like in
Yeah,
the corner of the infield, like we're looking for dudes who can drive the ball into the gaps and things like that. So I guess where overall does the defensive attribute and tool kind of rank in your opinion when grading out an outfielder? Like, what is it right after? I guess that's an open-ended
like
question for you. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, I mean the first thing I do, and this is when I was coaching, as far as recruiting guys, I'm gonna watch you hit. I'm not looking at your defense before
Because
I
you can
look at your
teach them
bat.
that, right? Like, because you
Yeah,
as graveyard mentality, you can just bring a dude in and be like, "Yo, I'll teach you how to play the outfield."
yeah, I'm not. I need to see you hit because look at most hitters. Like most hitters have some level of athleticism where you can find a place on the field for them. I mean, they got to be really bad as an outfielder to be not be able to make a club. But also the thing too is that's where the mentality piece comes in. I don't have a problem telling a kid, hey, you're good enough as a hitter, but you suck as an outfielder, and you will not get drafted or not make this team or not do whatever simply because you can't play this position well. I have about four kids right now who are like legit that I work with, and they're legit hitters, like some of the best in the high school game, but their outfield play is not good, like not good. Obviously, I'm not gonna say their names,
I know who they
but
are. They know better. He had
but
business
we
with Butler. He got a
we
business. We kept introducing bums
and
out.
that's why we work. That's why we work. You know what I mean? That's why we work, and they realize it too. Like it's always cool to see the kid hit me up like, yo, like, we need some work.
Yeah,
Or I love like what I typically get is the kids that were out say so Eli Pitts with the Cincinnati Reds. He's out of Atlanta. He was a South Carolina commit. When I moved to Georgia 3.5 years ago, him and his dad reached out and said, "Hey, we're trying to transition from shortstop to outfield." They knew that his stock was going to be higher with his speed and what he can do, and kid ended up being a 6th round pick or something like that.
dang. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, man, there's so many nuances to every position of this game, man. Like, there's just so many different things. Shout out my boy Justin Dean out there playing left field for the Dodgers, putting his hands up, knowing stuff like that. Like, that's just, knowing the game, having a high IQ, things like that in the World Series. But, there's certain players who don't know those, intricacies of that position. And again, it is very technical. How technical do you guys get out there in the outfield?
uh,
I personally have never really played the outfield, so like I'm coming
yeah.
at it from somebody who's only played the infield. I can understand what goes on, right? Catching a fly ball, but I'm not somebody who's tracking fly balls, running 40 yards sometimes to get a ball. So I don't know what that training looks like.
It's it's starting to get more technical, which is okay, right? There's a lot
Is
of
it?
data.
You think?
It depends on if you have the right information, if you have the right analytics. Now, here's the thing: if you're a high school program, you're not going to be able to probably touch on this because you don't have enough time with your players. And I don't mean like you and I, high school, like training high school kids. I mean like a high school coach, a
Yeah,
high
I
school
got
team.
you. No, no, I got you.
Same thing college. Like, the guys, the big guys in the SEC, they have it all, but we also know what the name of their game is. They got to be able to hit, and they're going to spend a lot of time focusing on hitting. So yeah, those small details might not be worked on in the SEC, right? When you get to that next level, Major League Baseball, minor leagues, there's a lot of time. There's a ton of time. You're on the field every day, and then almost like what we're talking about, what we do is if we want to, we could be with our players, as much as we can. There's not really any restrictions. We can create that space. But when you're seeing stuff in there with like outs above average and trying to determine like who is a legit best outfielder, because even still now when we watch a game, we're not seeing the route. Like when that ball is hit, we don't see the route. We see the play and we see
Yeah.
that diving catch. We don't see how far he went. We don't see the bad read.
Until AWS breaks it down for us afterward.
There you go. Exactly, right? So we see that stuff, and that stuff's becoming more accessible to us. So I think it's okay to get a little bit technical if we have the right tools, which we're certainly starting to.
Yeah, and I saw recently you were invited out to the Cubs spring training.
Yeah. So you mentioned Dean, who was with the Dodgers. So he's actually with the Cubs now.
Oh, bro, that's right.
Yeah,
Let's go, dude.
yeah,
I played college baseball with Justin Dean, man. He hit
yeah.
leadoff from
Great,
my squad.
great dude.
Yeah.
He knew.
Hey, talk about a dude who flies, bro. Reports have it. I didn't see it. This is just what I've been told. Reports had it. They had this man at a 6'2", like
I
a high
wouldn't be
6'2".
surprised. So he talks fast, and it's because he runs fast.
Bro, boy picks
Like
it up and
he's
gets it down.
everything he does. Like when you see him, you're like, yeah, I can see how you're fast before you even move. You know what I mean? Like great routes in the outfield. Um, but yeah, so as we're getting into, this whole journey with graveyard mentality, we're starting to connect with more Major League Baseball teams. And the Cubs were the first team. They're like, yeah, like I want you to come out and like go to spring training, and want you to have access to what we do, and we want to have access to what you do, and we kind of fill each other out and let you work with players, and it was great. Was out there for about a week. Was able to see a ton of what they did, and then kind of implement some of the mentality piece. Because what I always tell players is graveyard mentality is you have to have the mentality. Obviously, it stands for where hits are laid to rest. You have to have the mentality. You have to have the drills, the mechanics. But you can't just be running out there having just mechanics. That ain't gonna do it, right? And you can't go out there with just a mentality without knowing, the proper technique of things. So I think it was cool for me to go in and kind of be around some of those guys and implement the mentality piece because that part for me honestly is easy. you
Yeah.
know, but when you're playing in front of a lot of people, when you're trying to make a team, sometimes mentality for them is a little bit tough. At the end of the day, they're all humans, and some of them are, 18, 19 years old, especially in the minor league side. So, yeah, it was a cool thing, and it definitely won't be the last team that we do something with for sure.
Let's go, dude. That's so awesome, man. What did you have what were you doing with those guys out there? Were you doing a lot of
Like,
observing or were you running them through drills? And if so, kind of talk
mm,
through what you
a
were getting
little,
them ready
a
for.
little, a little bit of both. A little bit of both. I mean, day one, I was in the big league dugout, and we had the Angels. We're playing a minor league game against the Angels, so they were kind of all on their own for day one as far as like positioning. Kind of letting guys feel things out for themselves. So just talking about the small details of what I'm seeing, like, hey man, like what's your prep step like, or your prep step could have been better there, or why aren't you doing the prep step at all? And then for me, implementing some of the short work stuff that I do. Some of the stuff that I do, they do as well. They're already doing it. But I'm a big believer on short work, because at that level, there are, they don't, you just can't run around with your head cut off because there are certain days that are this day is a hard day, this is an easy day, is a medium day, right? There's a light day. So you have to find a way as a coach. And that's what I always do anyway, but it's cool to see how they track it to say, hey, how can we still get in quality reps while still understanding that today is a light day?
Yeah.
Most high school guys that come to me don't understand that. And if I did tell them today's a light day, they would go too light,
Yeah.
right? So you have to find a way, even as a professional, to be like, yo, today's a light day, but I'm still getting work in.
Yeah.
Like it's not an off day. It just means we're not running, 1,000 yards to go get a ball because we got game the next day. And trying to prepare to train like a professional before you get to that level. I think that is the key. So while I was out there, I got a chance to see a lot about how they go about that. Again, more from a analytics side of it, which I think you can at least have some feel of it, with our side and some of the guys that we train.
And so what is short work? Walk
For
walk
me,
us
short,
through.
yeah. So we all know like Ron Washington, you see his short work fungo drill. For me, it's not that short. It's probably like 30 feet, right? Maybe 40 feet.
I see you out there with
Um,
the fungo, bro.
yeah.
I'm good with the fungo, but being able to hit line drives like that at a short distance is an unreal skill, man.
Thanks.
Hey, hats
Yeah.
off to you, man. That's dope.
That one's at about 90 feet. So there's two different variations of the short work. That's about 90 feet. Then I'll bring them in a little bit. It's one of those where you've been hitting fungos for like 14 years. I think the first person I told this, I said to Dexter McLeon, I trained with him. I said, man, I've been hitting fungos longer than you've been alive. And he got me beat by a year. I think he's like 16 or something. But it's just one of those things. I've created a feel for it. And then I taught myself how to hit lefty
Let's
because when
go.
we're working,
Yeah, I saw you
you
was getting
know,
the switch. Hey, you got to get the slices.
exactly. So you think about it. You think like my top hand's not going to be as strong on the left side, and on sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But now an outfielder can read that. Now he can say, all right, well, I see coach pulled his shoulder off this way. His bat's dragging through the zone. Okay, here goes some slice. I've just tried to create different ways that allow an outfielder to be successful. Now, here's the thing. Typically, I might not have another guy there when I'm training, so I'll hit it off the tee. But like with the Cubs and a lot of other big league teams do this as well. Like they're gonna do front toss or soft toss, I should say.
Yeah,
Right? They'll soft toss it. They can get a real swing, real momentum, real ball in motion, and be able to pick that up. Most high school guys are only getting reads in the outfield during batting practice, and we don't even know if they're taking that serious or not.
yeah,
So think about where like, and if think about it, an infielder during BP, you're closer towards the coach, right? You're closer towards the dugout. So you're going to take it serious.
yeah.
But an outfielder, you're always out there. You're with the pitcher, shagging. So that's why the standard is what it is, and why I'm so hard on these guys.
Yeah, and pitchers, hey, if you're listening to this and you're in the outfield and you're
Get out
taking
of the
up
way.
mental space, get out the way. Get out the way, bro. Get in the gaps, get up against the fence, get along the lines, get on a bucket. Let them
Yeah,
outfielders get their work in because you need them to get their work in because when it's, bottom of the seventh and you're on the mound and you just gave up a shot, you're going to wish that
yeah,
that dude had some reads off of the bat a little bit better than what they got. So that's awesome, man. So when you let's talk about a high school kid. When you start working with a high school kid, what are the assessments that you're kind of looking at when he comes in to evaluate what he needs improvement on, and then how do you kind of move forward with that?
yeah. So I'm big on like time management. So like I don't want to just coach things that he already knows. I want to, usually before I'll tell the kid or the parent, like, yo, tell me what he sucks at.
Yeah,
And I use words like that. What does he suck at? What is he
yeah,
like? When you're sitting there watching your son play, like, what are you like? Yo, he is terrible at this. And so if obviously I'll be able to get information from that. If I don't get a good feel of it and they're not giving me much, I'll just start hitting them some fungos at like that 90 feet distance, maybe 100 feet. Just start hitting him some stuff and then see how he reacts. Not really anything to make him like chase too far. Maybe the ball that's like 6 steps over his head, 6 steps in. What ball doesn't he dive for? What ball does he pull up for? Because now I'm starting to look like, oh, he don't have graveyard mentality. He's scared. He don't have this. Like, kind of check those boxes. That'll last for like 2 minutes. All right, let's bring it in. We got some work to do, right? I'll mix in a ground ball, see how he feels that, and then from there I can start. All right, let's structure this in. Um, it usually takes me about 2 minutes to figure out like, all right, is a guy just getting loose or he just don't know,
yeah,
right? And then my main goal, like most of my sessions are an hour long. My one-on-ones are an hour. I always go over time because we be having fun.
yeah,
Um, but my goal is to be like, I gotta get this kid to trust me within like the first 6 minutes. You know what I mean? If I fail, okay, first 10 minutes, right? We ain't gonna go past 10 minutes. You don't trust me, especially a new kid. Like that's why new sessions they always go over because I gotta build that time in for trust. And then I verbally tell them like, hey, like that's why you're here. I'll yell out things. That's why you're here.
yeah,
And then once I have that trust, now I can start talking a little bit of smack. If it's a kid that can handle it, right? If it's a kid that likes to like, have that friendly competition. Once I get that trust, now I'm like, oh my bad, you can't get that ball. I forgot. You're not that good yet.
yeah. You
Or
ain't you ain't that guy.
yeah, or you told me you wanted to be top ranked in the state. Oh, my bad. So that ball's not for you. Some things like that, but I can't do that until I got that trust.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of one on one, or is it do you do? Because I see a lot of your like group training. Like, how do you
Yeah,
kind of approach that?
it's a little bit both. So I do one-on-ones, I do small groups where it's like a max of 8, and then we do our like outfield training camp
Yeah,
where like that can run up
you
to like we
try
go
to
to
play.
Maryland. We go to Maryland. They 70 outfielders indoors. 70 outfielders, indoor field house, turf. Like we've been there for the past 3 years. So it's been a good, good culture that the Maryland kids have created, but anywhere from like 25 to 60 or 70 kids for our training camps.
Now you talk about indoors and you talk about being up from PA, and I was born in Texas, so and lived in Texas and grew up in
Okay.
Texas and played ball in North Carolina and Texas. So like, I'm just now getting acclimated to the New Jersey lifestyle, and I 100% see why we down south are much better at baseball because it is March and I'm still looking at a little bit of snow.
Yeah,
It's 30 degrees. It's raining outside. You can't get outside.
yeah,
Dude, the high schools are taking it down to Florida right now to play baseball. So how does an outfielder even stand a chance of getting better in the off season when you're just stuck inside for 6 months out of the year? Can you kind of talk us through maybe some things that they can do at a facility? And then
yeah,
sometimes people can't even get into facilities, right? Like there's not a lot of people who are gonna teach outfield inside of a facility, right? You're
yeah,
very unique in that aspect. So what can they even do maybe at home in their own house?
yeah. Definitely need some tennis balls, right? You need tennis balls, you need wiffle balls. But I love the tennis ball stuff to work on, glove work. If it's you and a buddy or you and a brother, like literally stand apart from one another and get low, act like you're skipping rocks and like roll the ball at each other, like firm. It don't have to be super hard, but firm. A level that is a challenge. So you don't need a glove. You get tennis balls for $1. Like, use your glove hand, let it be challenging, then play a game with it, compete. I've seen you doing some stuff like with like on the wall, like where you're throwing the ball and the player might get thrown against the wall, and player might have to go receive it. Like I
Yep.
think some of the stuff that an infielder would do can be good for outfield too. You just have to switch up when the point of receiving the ball a little bit. Um, but again, like you're really working on reaction time. The one biggest thing is what outfielders got to realize in the Northeast, and this is what I wish I would have knew. You're not getting balls off the bat for like 4 months,
Longer than that, way
longer
longer.
than that, right? 4 months, and you guys are going and do live hitting versus pitcher. That's fine, but you're not seeing a ball hit off the bat until maybe if you're in. Most guys are having their tryouts indoors, so it might be like that first week of a scrimmage or first week of games against somebody else. So you better find somebody that can hit a fungo or a bat or something, and you can be in a cage. Doesn't you're not going to be able to get too much done as far as lateral movement, but at least getting the ground ball there. And if you have more of a smaller field space, New Jersey got a lot of facilities. I do know that, um, but it's definitely costly to get into a lot of them sometimes.
Yeah,
But
it's just difficult too. You do what you can. I'll be
yeah,
completely honest. There's a couple of kids that I work with for outfield, and I told them straight up, like, there's other people, but it just seems like again, there's nobody out there.
yeah,
And I'm like, look, I can teach you how to move and track a fly ball. Like, it's not
right,
rocket science, but
right,
I struggle because it's like you need to see a ball almost 100 plus feet away, and otherwise it's just like I'm just throwing balls into the air, and like any fourth grader can catch a ball that you just throw right at them. But to really be an elite outfielder, like you have to understand that first step, and you have to understand how to go track a ball down. And I don't know how to, for me personally, and this is why I don't market myself as an
yeah,
outfield coach, right? How to train that to a kid indoors when you
yeah.
can't do that. So how do you get the finer details, or can that only be replicated outside?
Yeah, so when I was at the sales, like we were in Allentown, Pennsylvania, so not far from the Poconos. Like it's cold. Um, we would do like throwing target drills in our basketball court, like all right, put the ball on the tee, try to aim, try to throw it off a little competing. But there were times where like I was insane. I'm still a little crazy now, but like I was insane with those guys. I was younger. I was fresh.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, all right, we outside. We in the parking lot, y'all. And they'd be like, what? Yeah, coach, we in the I'm like, yeah, we in the parking lot. There's another time where, the snow had melted, it was dry, we're good. Like we had these tennis courts, and the tennis courts were actually staggered. So like there was some up top and there was another one down low.
And you was hitting them from top.
So I was down low. I said, look, I was down low. So check this out. And on one of them, like they kept going. It was a large area. I don't know why they had to be tennis courts. Like there's not that many people on the team. So it was like stacked up and it's one way down low. So I'm hitting fungos up top to the outfielders. They couldn't see me though. So that's how
They
staggered
just
it
see the
was.
ball.
They just see the ball. So they see the ball go up. And I'm like, all right, y'all got the hang of it? All right, communication now. Meanwhile, we got a net in front of us. I'm like, all right, that's perfect. The net is the infielder trying to come back on the ball. Make sure you find him too and call him off. So a lot of it became like creative ways to do it because in my mind, none of those guys are never going to forget that drill. They can be working at a law firm and doing something else in their lives. And the minute that they see baseball played in the cold weather, they're going to be like, yeah, I remember one time we had this insane coach. He was hitting fungos on a tennis court. So I just try to do stuff like that to keep them engaged. Look, you're not going to do outfield training every day in the Northeast um, in December, January, and stuff like that. But if you can check the weather out and be like, all right, man, we got like 35 degrees and sun, let's play outside because we have to actually run the most on the field.
Yeah.
So even when we have our training camps, we do some in some cold weather places, or like we went to Texas in December and
Where'd you go in Texas?
Dallas, specifically Euless, Texas Parks Star uh, facility over there.
Okay.
And so day one was like 60 degrees. It was great. Day two, we got a cold front coming in, like 30, wind. I said, guys, don't worry. Trust me. You will be warm in about 15 minutes. So then the training, that's a big thing too. If like coaches have to understand, like some coaches, you got to shut up when it's cold. Like stop talking, right? If you want to talk, go inside, run out the plan, tell them what you're going to do. When you get out there, keep moving. Drills, because now your players are warm.
Yeah.
You're going to get more out of them. So that's just how I try to look at it to get it the most I can out of them.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. What is it? Run us through like a pregame routine that an outfielder can kind of go through to help get them ready. Obviously, probably taking care of BP and actually focusing on BP is probably the number one thing. But what are some other things that a young high school kid or a college kid can even do to prep themselves for a game?
Yeah, I think they need to go, and throw a ball against the side, like against that foul line. If there's a little bit of a weird cut, at a lot of MLB parks, you'll see like a weird cut.
Yeah.
So see how that ball, bounces off of that. See how the ball bounces off the wall. See how many tracks, see how many steps there are on a warning track.
Mm,
Most high school warning tracks are not very deep. It's not much of a warning.
no.
If you're on turf, it's just a different color, so you don't feel anything different. If there is gravel, who's going to pay more money for extra gravel, right? Like,
Yeah.
think about it, it's a business. Or if there's that game that they get a chance to play in like the minor league park, like, hey, now you're on a different track. It's about 8 steps. Get a feel for that. Get a feel for where's the sun, what's the wind like. Um, I would say too, like the grass. Again, I grew up in Philadelphia, so like our grass was not great. So I knew I was going to get a bad hop most of the time. That's going to affect the way I feel the ball. Or hey, like the grass is cut a little bit lower, ball's going to take off. We're on turf and it's wet, ball's going to go. All those things, if it's not something physical that they can do, like when we talk about throwing against the wall, at least talk about it with your unit. So when I was coaching, every place I coached at, we always had like a defensive outfield meeting before the game. And that just went over, our scouting report, a couple guys, like, my last 2 years at Penn State, we got into using the positional cards. But it would go over
How was that?
this.
Sorry to cut you off, but
No, no,
how was
you're good. I liked it. Year one was tough because like you're always changing stuff and, it was kind of the first time using it for them as well. It was more new to the industry as well. Um, I liked it for the guys on the bench because it kept them in the game.
yeah.
So we always had a defensive guy going in there in like the ninth, like he already knew where to play. Um, but I would do. It's hard to do it if the opposing team's not taking BP.
Or
You
you don't
know,
like actual analytics.
yeah, like if you're a high school program, you don't have a lot of analytics. So like
Yeah,
you need to be now. If I was a high school coach, I don't need analytics. You let that opposing team take a round of BP and put their jersey numbers on their BP tops. I'll know where to play everybody at.
yeah,
Like, so I got obsessed with doing stuff like that, reading swings, like trying to get a feel for where guys are going to hit the ball based off what he's showing me, and batting practice. If you are stepping in the bucket in batting practice, you're going to look horrible in the game, and we are not going to give you any respect in the outfield. We're going to be shallowed up.
yeah. That's good stuff, dude. I mean, dude, there's a craft to it. While you were speaking, you kind of just reminded me of like that Dennis Rodman scene from The Last Dance, where he's like, "I see the spin this way, I go this way.
Yeah,
I see the ball
yeah,
this way, I go this way." So, like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it really is. In playing shortstop myself, like, I prided myself in understanding swings and understanding how to move guys, and I took it upon myself to move the outfield because, again, you guys can't. Some guys can't see that. Some guys don't take the pride to, know where to go and what to do based on swings. How do you get better at reading swings in your opinion as an outfielder?
You got to know. So like back in the day, I said back in the day like I'm old, but I'm 36, so I'm somewhere in that middle. I've
Yeah,
I've, I've lived
like
a
me,
long, you
we're
know
the
what I
same.
mean? That
We're about the same.
so we used to play at pickup baseball, right? You got four guys, so it'd be or eight guys, so 4 on 4. So you had to know where Joey was hitting the ball. If Joey was a pull hitter, you had to know that. Like nobody had to tell me to figure out his swing, but I was relying on knowing that so we could win, and we weren't even playing for nothing.
Yeah,
So with these guys, like I try to do, especially when I'm coaching a team, I try to tell them randomly, hey, where would you play Mark? Where would you play him at? Well, I don't know. Well, how don't you know you've been in practice with him all year? You know what I mean? It's like May, you don't know where to play him at yet. You've been
yeah.
through the fall, so
You should have been
I
paying
make
attention.
sure, yeah, I make sure they know where to play everybody, and then if we have a disagreement, at least we could talk about it. But now we're having an educated baseball conversation.
Yeah.
I get away from just moving a kid and he's just moving because I tell him to, but he doesn't know the reason why. So that to me, is part of recruiting, right? Like that measures your IQ so that wherever you're going to go, that's the less that they got to teach you when you get there.
So again, not having played the outfield really much, I've probably played a few games. I'd have to imagine like sometime out there. How do you stay locked in, like all the way out there? Like you get a few chances. Maybe
Yeah.
sometimes in a game, I mean, it's the same as the infield, but I just feel like it's a different presence out there because you are so much further away. If you're playing at a minor league stadium or in a great, college stadium, you got the fans out there that are trying to talk to you, so you're talking to them. Like, how do
Yeah.
you really stay locked in throughout a baseball game in the outfield?
I wasn't good at it when I first started coaching. Like, I feel like I didn't have a tight enough leash on my guys um, to get their attention. And early in my career, I was at University of Penn in the Ivy League, and if anybody knows, like behind their
I've been
their
there. We played
outfield
there this past summer. They got that train track out there.
is the highway.
Oh, the
It's
highway and the train
yeah,
track that runs by too, though.
exactly. So you got tons of noise. So I wasn't good enough then at like being sure to making sure my guys had discipline to find me as I got into my career. I was like, yo, you can't play out here unless you find me in between every pitch, every at bat. Just split your vision. So for me, I would always stand at the same spot in the dugout all game. Whether it was and it gets tough sometimes if you're on the road and trying to go in, see where I'm going to stand, where's the best place. But same spot, and if they see me, I don't have to come out of the dugout. I can point them, direct them wherever I want them to go. But like that was that was our thing. I got really good at that until we played in Cuba when I was at Penn State, and any international play, like sometimes their dugouts are miles away from the field. Like it feels like there's just unnecessary extra space. So you add in like noise. You talk about staying locked in. You add in like tons of fans, a lot of noise. Some guys have never been in that environment before. Like I think if every American kid could have a chance to play against an international competition, they should absolutely take advantage of it. You'll learn a ton.
It's awesome, dude. I went down
Yeah.
after I got released from Baltimore. I had the opportunity and I got signed to go play in Mexico with the Sultanes in Monterrey, and that's it. It just it
Yeah,
opened up my eyes, and it's more fun. I'll be completely
it
honest,
is.
dude.
It is.
Basically, like if you could just stick me in Mexican baseball, and then if I got a chance to play in the pro, like in the big leagues, bring me
Yeah.
back, that'd be great. Because minor league baseball, for the most part, it's stale, it's
Yeah,
quiet. Like you're just, and then down there, it's so much more fun and it's
for
exciting. The
sure.
games mean more. Yeah, all that stuff, man.
For
That's good
sure.
stuff, dude. That's good stuff. And so I think you got some stuff coming up here in New Jersey, don't you?
Yeah, so April 26th, this will be the third time that we've been coming to we'll come to New Jersey. So we'll be at Elizabeth High School on April 26th, and that'll be an outdoor camp. So we'll mix in a little bit of recruiting with that afterwards, talk a little bit about it's a 4.5 hour camp. So we'll do outfield training for 4 hours. We'll talk about the whole recruiting process for the final 30 minutes. But people are always like, well, why do we need an outfield camp? Or why do you think? I'm like, yo, just come. Like, you'll find out. You think I'm gonna leave my family in Atlanta just to go have a day camp and like be bored? Nah, like we going to get after it. So
Yeah. And then I wanted to quickly touch on. Well, first off, I'll say I've had some people reach out to me, and again, I am an infield coach and a pitching coach. I will help you do outfield if you absolutely need it. I don't want to. So for the people who have reached out to me, who listen to this podcast, who listen to my YouTube stuff, go to this and tell me what to train you on. Come back to
right,
me with information because again, I don't
right.
play outfield. Um, so I want to talk about your USA stuff because I see that you're affiliated there. Kind of talk about that. Are you still affiliated with them? I saw that
Yeah,
you just won like Coach of the Year or
yeah. So it's
something
been
like that.
it's been cool. I think that was and that helped me because when I got done coaching for a college, like I had that itch to like be around a team, but not do anything full time technically. And it was great. And they reached out and were like, "Hey, you want to be involved with our 18U national team?" And at the time, I didn't know a ton about what USA Baseball did for the youth level, so I was like, "Yeah, like whatever," like not thinking much of it, you know. And you get there, and it's the best players in the country. I think my first year, it was like Max Clark's graduate. It's Max Clark and Kevin McGonigal. It was their year. Um, I think the year, actually, no, that was the second year. The first year was, it was like Trey Phelps, who's now at Georgia, RJ Austin, who went to Vanderbilt, who's now with the Orioles. Like, so it's just loaded talent. And the craziest thing is like, all right, now it's time to cut somebody. You know what I mean? It's like now it's time to cut a first rounder. And you got it's you're literally building your dream team. And it's different. It's different than like the team we're seeing now in the World Baseball Classic. Same organization. However, like there's no tryout for that team.
Yeah.
They just select. They're like, all right, cool. We want
Okay.
Bryce Harper, whatever, and whoever agrees, agrees. Where with the 18U and the 15U, the two programs I've been involved with, they bring it like 100 of the best players, to carry North Carolina at the complex and say, all right, well, we're going to have training camp and you're going to be coached by former big leaguers. And then there's guys like me to just find their way into that mix. And
I'm trying to find
then,
my way into that mix, man. Throw
yeah,
in the word.
I got you. It's crazy. I'm like, how I get in this room? Um, and it's like, all right, let's like we're gonna have round one cuts and then we'll bring it back for like the final round of 40 and make a roster. But the key to that, anybody trying to get involved with USA on the playing side, play as many positions as you can because the roster is super small. You're looking at bringing 18 guys. So like if all the kids that said I don't want to play the outfield, guess what? You're gonna play the outfield with USA Baseball to win a gold medal for your country. But it's been great, man. I've done some NTIS stuff, been on some task force, which is kind of like the entry level part of it.
Yeah, I
So
was
it's been
about to
nice
ask.
to
Yeah,
do.
walk us
Yeah,
through the
yeah, it's
progression that because many kids and parents, I mean, they
yeah,
would love the opportunity, but I bet you 95%, I would say 99% of them don't even know how to even get their kid to that level. They probably think it's reserved for a God-given talent like Max Clark, but I'm sure
yeah,
there's other players who go through the identification process to get there.
yeah. Every region has a NTIS, and that is kind of like your entry level way to get in. So they have regional directors everywhere, and then they pick a team. They're supposed to select a team of guys that they see or that they know, and then bring them to Cary, North Carolina for like this big event. And then within that big event, there'll be guys like myself that are there on what we call the task force. And then at that event, guys on the task force will identify players from those regional teams to say this kid should get invited to, our next event. That's an invite only. So that's like level one. And then you get to level two, which is, an invite only event. And then if you get out of that, then potentially, depending on your age, you can go straight to like the training camp for 18U or 15U. Now, I will say that obviously, if you're a top dog in the country, best players in California, Florida, like McGonigal was a Pennsylvania kid. Everybody knew he was good. He got an invite, straight away, because of how good he was.
Yeah.
But it's super cool to be around that because they're just kids, man. They still make mistakes, you know, and they're pissed when they make mistakes. And now I get a chance to watch them grow. And like McGonigal will probably be in the league this year for the Tigers, so that's real cool for him.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I really didn't know, to be completely honest and transparent. I really didn't know the process of USA baseball. I had the opportunity to play USA, Team USA, with they had Alex Bregman on there. They had Trey Turner on the team back in like 2016. Dudes were nasty, nice with
Hmm.
the college team. But I never knew how people got there. Like I
Yeah,
guess it's again
playing
like,
multiple positions. You better play like 8 positions, man. I'm telling you, like we've had some dog like Drew Burst. Think about that. Drew Burst is going to be a first round pick out of Georgia Tech, who I think is a great kid. I've built a good relationship with him. Drew Burst did not make the 18U national team. He did not make the 18U national. He's going to be a first round pick. Now he made that collegiate team. He made that team because he's been balling out, doing what he needs to do. But it's when people are thinking USA, and I don't want to say that to like prevent people from trying, wanting to try out.
oh,
It's
coach, you ain't
certainly,
gonna do that. They're gonna be trying
yeah,
out.
it's certainly an honor, but like understand that it is the best of the best, and even the best are still sometimes getting cut, and that's part of life.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we're about at an hour here, so I'm gonna run through just a couple questions, just quick hitters, man. You answer them for the people, and then we'll log it off. I'll let you get
Yeah.
back to your wife and kids right here, man. So, what's maybe not the best, but what's like your top notch outfield drill that kids can implement?
Oh, you're gonna need a partner. You're gonna need somebody to know how to hit that fungo. It's probably that back spun line drive. If you don't have somebody that can hit the fungo, I think it's like your standard quarterback drill, but make them throw it like where it's a challenge and make you run through it.
Okay. What about most underrated outfield skill?
Decision making, by far, definitely decision making.
Just on where to go with the ball, or just
Where to
everything?
where to go with the ball? When should I dive? Is this a ball that I can go get to? Do I know my range? The decision making part to get to the wall, like the decision making within 3 seconds when that ball's up from when it's barreled, when it's hit, so it gets to you about 3.5 to 4 seconds. Like what what are we deciding on?
Yeah.
I think that's underrated like crazy. And kids would be 10 times better if they just knew what to do on every step because you've probably done that play 1,000 times or 100 times before in your life.
What about most overrated, or something that outfielders think that probably doesn't really help them too much?
Uh, Everybody thinks they can throw the ball straight to the third baseman, from right field or center field. I mean, it helps you, no doubt about it. But like, just because you can throw the ball, let's say on below, we talked about like, just because you can throw the ball 95, like that's great. I'm telling you this, but if you can't hit, I don't really care. If you get poor reads, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But definitely, I'd say that overrated is going to be strength. And it depends on level. High school level, probably definitely overrated. Big league level, not so much. You need it.
What about best advice right now for a high school outfielder?
Especially let's go with the theme of your area. Like, take care of your arm. These guys are going to go out there and start tryouts, start their season, and everybody's going to try to look good. And it's like, well, what did you do in the off season to prepare yourself to throw that thing at max effort? I've been there in the Northeast, so my arm hurt for a good amount of my career, and even when I first started coaching, my arm was hurt. I'm like, nah, we can't do this. So I would say take care of your arm, take care of your body, even though you're young. Try to try to play as long as you can without injuries.
Two more right here. Hardest ball to track.
Hardest ball, I would say right at us, which is a lot of people probably think that I would say that, but I dissected to was it right at you or was it hit towards this side, like this eye, or was it hit on this side? Was it hit in the middle of your brim? You got to be specific now. So definitely right at us.
And then the biggest differences between corner outfield and center field.
You got to know how to play them all. I actually prefer that. See, kids don't know this. Everybody want to play center field. I actually like when I hear that the kids playing left field and right field because that slice is harder to understand. So I know he has experience doing it rather than the kid that, in center field that's never played left field. That's going to be your biggest difference. Put a center fielder who's been in center field his whole life, he's never played left field, it's going to be a nightmare. But at least you would think if he's that good, he had a chance to get on like an all-star team of caliber players. Now he plays left. But guys out there that are corners, just know that you're getting quality work trying to read slice, especially like no offense to that 8 and 9 hitter, but trying to read slice from those guys at the bottom of the order. Make sure you catch it. If you ain't catching, you're not getting the right reads. But that's our biggest difference.
Man, this was awesome. Hey, I appreciate you coming on today, man. Leave the people with something. What you got for them? What you got for the kids out there?
Man, like we're so blessed to play this game, and like most of you guys are all kids, so be a kid and like don't take this stuff too serious. Train, be for real about it. But like, if you make a mistake, just understand that there's somebody who's not getting a chance to make a mistake, or there's somebody who's not getting a chance to play the game at all, or there's somebody who can't afford it, or doesn't have the resources, or whatever it is. So like, that's what I mean. But like, don't take it too serious because at some point, like you and I, the game's over, and then we give it back. So while you're still a player, if somebody would have told me like, like just not to be cliche, but like go have fun and be a baller. Like your mom, if your parent then drove you an hour or 2 hours to go to camp, what the heck you nervous for? Like why pay? Don't pay money to be nervous. You know what I'm saying? So think about it. So let's just go be dogs and go have fun.
And what about for the parents? Leave it with them. They're the ones that are listening to this probably the most. The kids see the clips that I'll put on Instagram. They get that information, but the parents are really the ones soaking up this information. So what you got for them?
Yeah, especially as a parent myself, we challenge our kids in school, right? We give them hard tests, we give them hard obstacles to try to get past and be better. But throughout those things, they're going to fail. So even if your kid's failing at the sport of baseball, whether it be in the outfield or wherever like that, like understand it's part of it. But do understand that every time you invest a dollar amount into the failure, know that your son has to be like in it as much as you are. So don't be afraid to have that transparent conversation because it could it could help make y'all's relationship better. But this is a part of failing. They shouldn't be out there catching every ball in practice. In a game, catch every ball. But in practice, the level of difficulty is just like in school. We're trying to raise that bar. You're going to fail a little bit so that you can pass the test.
Hey, everybody, that's Andre Butler right there with Graveyard Mentality. Y'all can check him out on Instagram at Graveyard Mentality. He is all over the place. He's probably working with some of the best outfielders that you see on Instagram. He's all over Georgia, looks like Michigan, Alabama, and now he's coming to New Jersey. So if you've got the time, when is that again? That's on
April
April
26th.
April 26th. If you got the time, go check him out. And then again, of course, hit him up on Instagram if you are looking to get better at outfield. Don't hit me up anymore. I think I'm done. I might be done. I think I've taken my last outfield. All right. I'm not going to run into that. So I appreciate you, man. I really do. Best of luck to you in your career. I'm wishing for you and your family nothing but the best. And I'm sure we'll cross paths soon. Hey, tell Team USA about me, man.
I got you.
Let me get in
I
there. Let me
got
get in
you.
there.
I got you.